I'm here with Rad. This is Rad. Isn't he a good looking dog? And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can use counter conditioning to stop a dog from doing this. Can you knock for me? Well, this is the part where you're supposed to bark. This is why they say you shouldn't work with children or kids in Hollywood. All right, well, I don't necessarily have to have the dog respond to do this, but normally if I'm doing this sort of thing, that's what we get. Whoops. And so basically what we're going to do is counter conditioning. Now, if he barks and I give him a treat, I could eventually be reinforcing a barking. Now, it's also important to understand that you cannot reinforce emotions. If he's barking because he's hysterical, then he's in a hysterical state of mind. If I give him treats when that state of mind, I'm just trying to change his mind. It's not reinforcing the barking, but that's an old perception a lot of people have is dog barks and you give it a treat because it's freaked out, you give it a treat, you're training it to bark. Now, if he just barks saying the UPS guy is here and I give him the treat, then that would be reinforcing it. But if he's not in an unbalanced state of mind, then I can just give him treats just to try to get him out of that state of mind. All right, so for counter conditioning, what we want to do is I'm going to have you, and we'll just do this. He doesn't have to knock. Now, if you go ahead and knock and he were to bark, then I give him a treat, then that reinforces that behavior because he's not in this hysterical state of mind. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to have you knock one time in a light knock. So what we want to, now if he got up or moved around or his ears moved around, but he didn't bark, that would be okay. But if he barked or lunged or ran toward the door, that's our way of saying that the intensity of the stimulus, in this case the stimulus is the knocking, is too high. We want to get it low enough where he's interested in it and he can hear it and he's aware of it, but it doesn't cause him to become reactive, barking, lunging, snapping, and all the rest of that fun stuff. Now, this is a slow process. It's an easy procedure, but the thing that screws people up is they get too fast. They knock this loud once, and then next one is harder, and then and then eventually the dog fails. The last repetition of any dog training is the most important because that's what they're going to remember the freshest. So you always want your best one to be last, and you want to, or at least stop when you have a good one. And then you keep your training sessions 2 or 3 minutes. This one I would keep like 60 seconds. So I'm going to have you go ahead and knock with your hand on the wall. So, and then what you're going to do is the next time, and you would knock about 2 or 3 times, so you'd knock like you did. I usually start with one knock, like treat, treat. And eventually, after doing about 3 or 4, as long as the dog didn't respond, then I knock a little bit more intensely. So I either, he has an issue with skateboards. So in that case, I might find a skater that would cooperate with us. So I can ask him to go slowly. So the way that I lower the intensity is I decrease the volume, slow down the speed, or increase the distance. So if he's reactive, we're in Venice, so if you're right at the bowl, at the beach and the skateboard's there and he's barking and freaking out, that's what he's practicing doing. So you take away 10 steps away and ask him to sit. One time. If he sits easily, then that's the distance you should try it. If he doesn't sit, it doesn't mean he's being disobedient. He's just saying, I don't feel comfortable enough to sit this close to the skateboards. So we move another 10 feet away and ask again. I keep doing this until I get a distance where the dog can sit and take a treat pretty easily. I'm laughing because I hear a lot of Discord chirps, and we use Discord as well. That's okay. We use it internally at DTP, so I recognize that. So the idea is in the short session, you're going to do this. You would maybe have a friend outside. Now here he could see it. So if that's the case, I would have the blinds drawn or something, and your friend comes and knocks at the door, or outside. We're in kind of a busy part of Venice. So you have somebody that just knocks on your front door once, yes, and then you give them a treat. And you can mark not rewarding and not barking as well. And eventually, they might go from, let's say the sound ranges from 0 to 20. So maybe you do a bunch of knocks at level 1, then after 5 knocks at level 1 without reacting, you go to level 2, do up 5 or 6 knocks there, then you go to level 3. At level 3, he's starting to get a little oscillating a little bit. So we know he's getting close to his limit. So we just have a good one, we end it. So now we recognize next time we come back to practice this, yes, I saw that lay down. Next time we practice, we might start at level 3 intensity, they go to level 4 and level 5. And we go as far as we can, as long as it's not so much the dog can't handle it. If the dog gets up and moves away, we probably push too long. And if the dog fails, then that's the last memory they're going to have. So this might take several practices. I would make a list of all of the activities and the sounds that he is sensitive to. I'm guessing one of them is the latch of your door opening, or at least maybe a knock at your door outside. You're going to go get those treats, huh? He's a smarty. He's a Jack Russell. Or either Parsons?
Parson.
Parson, sorry, buddy. And then, but it might be like the UPS guy, yes. It might be a crashing glass or whatever it is. Some dogs, the doorbell, the chime from Discord or whatever it is. It doesn't matter what the stimulus is. I had one dog that they didn't like the Velcro sound. So we just did that. Little Velcro, treat. Little Velcro, yes, treat, because the dog didn't react. Eventually got to go, yes, treat. And the dog's like, the Velcro ripping means I'm about to get a treat. Instead of barking to say, I don't like that or I disagree with that, I'm like, can somebody rip the Velcro again? Because that gets me something that I like. That's why I call it counter conditioning. We're countering the way that they normally react. So make a list of the stimuluses, and if it's just auditory, I would go through all of them. Every time he barks, what was that sound? Car backfire. Okay, well, let's find a car that'll backfire. And for the car that's backfiring, well, we can't control how loud it backfires. We can control how close it is. And that's, again, how we moderate that intensity level. And eventually get to the point where we extinguish the behavior in the perfect world. Sometimes we can't do that. We can only mitigate it and get it a lot lower than it was before. Yes. But it makes the dog feel more comfortable because when he's bombastic, there's a sound outside, he's barking, you guys are like, shut up. He's like, but somebody's out to try to steal our stuff. You're not even listening to me. That's going to make me bark even more. So what we do is we create the situation where we can help the dog practice the way we want, create a positive association, gradually increase that level until eventually we get to the real world situation of the car backfiring right outside and he's looking around like somebody owes me a treat. Sit. This is my beach buddy Rad, and this is a video on how you can use counter conditioning to stop a dog from barking at things.